Hi everyone, I'm Stu.
I'm Sarah. Welcome back to the 300 Bird Challenge.
We're trying to see 300 different birds before the end of the year. Very close on running out of time, but we're at Sax-Zim Bog. Stay tuned, we'll talk more after this. Okay guys, welcome back to Sax-Zim Bog. If you didn't watch our last video, maybe take a look at that. That one covers our trip up here. We have driven from Toronto to the bog over several days. Also, if you're watching this video and it's the first one of ours you've seen, we mentioned we're doing a 300 bird challenge. We're trying to see 300 birds before the end of the year. We only need a few more, but we're into December, well into December. This is going to be one of our last opportunities to bird besides our journey back home, so it's a little bit tense. Anyway, before we continue with this video, let's take a look where Sax-Zim Bog is located. In the heart of northern Minnesota is one of the top birding locations in North America. An hour's drive from Duluth, the 300 square miles of boreal forest, open bogs and frozen wetlands make Sax-Zim Bog a haven for birders seeking those tricky northern species of bird. Here's a basic road map with some of the more notable roads labelled on it, and the red dots represent the locations of some of the bird feeders that we're going to visit. These bird feeders can be seen from the side of the road in most cases. Those that are on boardwalks and those at the Welcome Centre are visited on foot. First stop on this video is the Warren Nelson Boardwalk Trail. There's some bird feeders at the end of the boardwalk, but before that we're hoping we might see a black-backed woodpecker. That's a bird we've chased a couple of times this year without success. Maybe we'll find it here. We've tried to find the black-backed woodpecker a couple of times now, back in Ontario at Algonquin Park, but we couldn't find it. It's a more northern woodpecker species, and this boardwalk seemed promising. We did see both downy and hairy woodpeckers, and continued looking for the black-backed, and listening. It was eerily quiet at Sax-Zim. You know, apart from our footsteps on the icy, crunching snow. It's a short boardwalk, and we soon reached the feeders at the end. More of the drier-baits woodpeckers, a white-breasted nuthatch, and tons of black-capped chickadees. We waited around at the feeder for a while, and aside from some birds flying over, nothing more to report here. Okay, pretty quiet along the Warren Nelson Bog boardwalk. We didn't see too much, did we, Sarah? What species can you remember?
So we did see some woodpeckers. Unfortunately, not the black-backed woodpecker, which would be, a new bird, yay! But we saw the downy and hairy. We also saw a black-capped chickadee, again, not the boreal that we need, and white-breasted nuthatch.
There's some purple finches flying over that we heard, and we think some white-winged crossbill. Plenty of those around anyway. This isn't actually our first stop today, because it's kind of lunchtime at the moment. Obviously the highlight species here at Sax-Zim Bog is the great grey owl. Best time to see those, first thing in the morning and then later in the evening before the sun goes down. So we did try to track those down early this morning, and we had a couple of close misses, unfortunately. We arrived and we saw a bunch of cars parked. That's always a good sign that there's something interesting, but I think we missed that one maybe by a matter of 30 seconds to a minute, something like that. It flew off just before we got there, so that kind of sucks. But we will be looking for those again later today. In the meantime, I'm going to cut back to earlier today and show you some of the footage from us missing the owl. Earlier that morning, we'd been looking for a great grey owl. This is our #1 target on the trip. We received news that one of the great greys had been spotted on Stone Lake Road, shown here. On the way there, we spotted this bald eagle fairly well hidden in a snowy tree. And once onto Stone Lake Road, a brief view of this beaver, swimming in a channel in the ditch. Alas though, no great grey owl. Then we headed to Admiral Road. Here, we narrowly missed seeing a great grey in one of these broken-topped coniferous trees, a preferred habitat. Damn it! Oh well, we still have tonight and a couple more days to go, so let's go back to later today after this quick break. Okay guys, welcome back. Sarah, where are we off to now?
So we're gonna go to the Admiral Road feeders en route to Augie's Boardwalk.
Stay tuned, we're going to make the drive there now. As we drive there, let's quickly talk about the birds we want to see while we're visiting Sax-Zim Bog. We already talked about two of them.
Black-backed woodpecker.
Our nemesis woodpecker.
Great grey owl.
This is our number one target.
Boreal owl.
A long shot this one. It's nocturnal and very elusive, but it would be awesome.
Northern hawk owl.
We might need some luck with this one, but it'd be another awesome one to see.
Boreal chickadee.
This is one of my most sought after lifer perching birds found in this region.
Ruffed grouse.
We should have gotten this one already in Ontario, but we'll take it here if we find it.
Pine grosbeak.
It doesn't seem to be a good year for them, but we'll try.
Sharp-tailed grouse.
These birds are a bit more visible in late winter, but fingers crossed.
Snowy owl.
We might find a snowy in one of the open fields. There were several other birders and photographers around the Admiral feeders. We watched birds visiting the feeders from our vantage point. We watched every black-capped chickadee we could see, hoping for a boreal chickadee, and there were so many of them we had to check-a-dee-dee-dee every one of them. A hairy woodpecker here. As a few other people left, we were able to sneak our car forward a little bit closer. Good timing too. The birds scattered, and this squirrel scarpered upon the arrival of Canada jays. There were 3 Canada jays, which is fairly typical for 2 monogamous adults and a previous year's juvenile to share territory together. Yes, human? Do you have something for me? It wasn't just birds and squirrels. This beautiful American martin made an appearance, approaching cautiously. Perhaps there is something here for me too. More commonly referred to as a pine martin, this creature was clearly fairly used to humans, but still an absolute pleasure to see. With the time just after 3 PM, we began to move to a couple of spots where we might find a great grey owl. We drove up and down 2 or 3 different roads, and we stopped momentarily when we saw this bird in the top of a tree, but it turned out to be just a white-winged crossbill. Suddenly though, we saw a group of cars further down the road. Let's get going. A group of cars strongly suggests something good has been spotted. We pulled up behind this line of cars. Guys, we were about to give up, but you might be able to tell by the way I'm whispering, we have just seen a great grey owl. Holy Grail bird. It's a bird that we wanted to see pretty much since we got into birding and kind of learnt about the available birds in this part of the world. So happy to see this bird, got some good footage of it. It hung around for quite a while, reasonably close for such a kind of hard to find species. Really happy. Sarah, what do you think?
He's gorgeous. It was, bucket list bird, so yay for that. Yeah, don't know what else to say really. Nice little white bow tie kind of plumage and gorgeous yellow eyes. It looked at us or in our direction a few times as it turned its head back and forth.
If you include those thick layers of insulating feathers, the great grey owl is the largest owl in North America, although the great horned owl has a greater body mass. Great grey owls enjoy dense, boreal habitat, but when it comes time to hunt, they advance to the forest edge to hunt over clearings like bogs, meadows, or snow-covered roads in this case, in order to hunt their prey, rodents like voles, lemmings and moles that scurry beneath the snowy blanket. Their disc-like face helps to capture slight sounds like a rustling rodent, and asymmetrically located ear openings help to promote directional hearing.
Isn't that amazing?
Really cool, and nice to see it in this kind of light snow kind of conditions. It's almost like the perfect view of that bird. Really happy. Well, it's been a pretty tiring day and a half, and we've gotten the great grey owl, so we're pretty stoked about that, but we're otherwise quite tired. And boreal owl and northern hawk owl are pretty long shots. They're pretty endangered, which means that they don't show up in a lot of apps. They don't show up on eBird checklists, other than historical sightings. So you're kind of working a bit blind, and I think we were only really hopeful of getting the great grey owl. So on that basis, it's just before 4 o'clock in the afternoon, starting to lose the light this far north at this time of year. So I think we're going to call it a night, get something to eat, maybe retire back at the hotel. I've got a ton of editing to do to try and get the 300 bird challenge videos finished in a timely fashion. So we're going to say goodbye for now. We're going to hit a break. We're going to go to bed, and we'll see you tomorrow for another day at Sax-Zim Bog. I think really we're going to be aiming to try to get boreal chickadee, pine grosbeak, and any other of those kinds of birds that we haven't found yet. Going to be a long shot, but we'll give it a try. Stay tuned, back in a bit. Bright and early the following morning, we decided to begin at one of the boardwalks. Located towards the northern edge of Sax-Zim Bog is Ggies Boardwalk. Good morning everyone, and welcome to day 2 at Sax-Zim Bog. Sarah, what trail are we on this morning?
We are on Ggies Boardwalk.
It is brutally cold, like -20 or something like that. We're going to do a bit of this boardwalk, but I think you and I need to have a little talk about the 300 bird challenge in a moment. We walked the Boardwalk Trail, which is named after baby Augustus Feth, who sadly passed not long after his birth. We saw a few birds here, red-breasted nuthatch. Even the nuthatch looks cold.
Yeah, he looks stressed.
Black-capped chickadee on the feeder. And this hairy woodpecker, but that was about it. On this trail, you're invited to take an owl carving in memory of baby Ggie in exchange for leaving your name in the book, but it was so cold the pens wouldn't work. So thanks from us to Ggie's great-grandfather Bob, who hand-carved these owls. Okay guys, we've retired to the warmth of the car, even though we're used to minus temperatures in Toronto. -21 feels pretty nippy, and it's dropping down to -30 over the next 24 hours. I think also we need to kind of temper some expectations on the 300 bird challenge, and maybe it's time for me to accept that I don't think we're going to be hitting 300 birds before the end of the year. This isn't a reflection on Sax-Zim Bog, which is a great spot for birding, but we are kind of reliant on some of those more northern species that like the boreal forest coming just a bit further south to this area where we're just transitioning to that kind of habitat. Boreal chickadee, pine grosbeak, they just haven't really been showing up over the last few days. That might change, maybe, with these colder temperatures, but we'd have to be pretty lucky, I think. So I'm not sure that we're going to see much more while we're here today, and we leave further south back towards Toronto tomorrow. Maybe we might have made some different choices on where we came at this time of the year. Maybe we should have headed south, southwest, maybe pick up some of those prairie type birds on the very edge of the range that we're allowed to visit for this 300 bird challenge. And also kind of looking back with a bit of regret at some of the birds that we have missed like ones that we've seen but not gotten on camera. Sarah, can you think of some of those? There's Virginia rail ran across the road at one point. Wilson snipe we flushed up into the air. Hooded warbler, we saw it but didn't get it on camera. It was hidden in the brush and it was just too difficult to get it on camera. What else?
American pipit that flew over us on the beach.
Several times, yeah.
The crested caracara, Florida, that was on the side of the road that we got good looks at. Northern bobwhite in Florida, which I got good looks at, Stu less so, but we didn't get on camera.
Yeah, and then there's like, should we have counted northern bobwhite because we saw one that was maybe released but living as wild? In any case, that's only one extra bird, and I also have to take some responsibility too. In the summer, I just find it kind of hot, a little bit hard to get motivated. We didn't go out and bird enough, so we missed some really low-hanging fruit. Bank swallow breeds really close to where we live, and we just didn't go and see it. Piping plovers as well, kind of Whitby type area, just past Whitby in Durham region, not too far from where we live. We could have easily picked that up, but we just didn't get out and get it. And when you look at it now, we only need about 10 birds. Those ones hurt a little bit more because we'd be in a completely different position if we had picked those up. On the other hand, maybe we'll find some stuff as we head back towards Toronto, and maybe we'll be able to go out birding maybe one more time when we get back to the city. So there are still a few things like snow goose that we should be able to get with a bit of luck. We've been looking for red-throated loon. It's possible we can pick some stuff up, but 10 birds, it's a lot to ask with only maybe 3 more videos to go, thereabouts. Stay tuned to the channel. We're going to keep trying. We're not giving up. We'll stay at Sax-Zim Bog for the rest of today, and we still have the journey home as well, where we'll swing by and try and pick up some birds. Where are we going next, Sarah?
We're going to head back down towards either the Admiral Road feeders or the McDavitt Road Sisu feeders. Haven't quite decided which ones we're going to hit first.
Today is probably going to be staking out feeders, trying to keep warm while we do that, and just hoping something special comes by. Let's take a look. We drove on and decided to visit the Driscoll's feeder. These are located towards the northern end of McDavitt Road. We passed the Sisu feeders at the Zabin on the way, but they were pretty quiet, so we moved on to the Driscoll's feeders, which were probably my favourite feeders in the whole bog. There's lots of individual feeders here, and they're pretty elaborately decorated. Hoo-hoo! We've got some purple finches here, and an evening grosbeak. And a single pine siskin here on the far left. A ton more evening grosbeaks feeding from this table, but we decided to move on to the welcome centre. On the way there, we looked out for sharp-tailed grouse in some of their potential habitat. The welcome centre's located on Owl Avenue, and it's a pretty good place to warm up. But first, there is a short hiking trail around the back of the building. We've decided to take a quick look along Grey Jay Way near the visitor centre. There's a few birds singing around us. White-winged crossbill, tons of those. Black-capped chickadee, but no boreal. A few purple finches. The usual suspects. Well, the trail didn't take too long to complete. We saw some more woodpeckers and purple finches. This friendly black-capped chickadee, nice and close. An absolute ton of purple finches near the entrance to the visitor centre, which is where we went next. So, let's take a quick break before we go inside. Warmth. Welcome back. Let's take a look around the visitor centre at the things we could have seen. A few carvings and displays of birds, including this cheeky boreal chickadee. And here's that pine grosbeak that I've never seen before. And a sharp-tailed grouse. I'd love to see one of these, but February, March is a much better time of year to see them. Well, at least we got to see a great horned owl back in the last video, if you haven't watched it, in Chicago. We staked out the feeders at the Welcome Center for a while, and we had some quite nice sightings here, starting off with this nice male purple finch. And much closer views this time of this pine siskin. Here's another one giving its beak a quick wipe down. You've got to keep clean at the bird buffet. Oh, here's a new bird for the trip, although not a new one for the year. This is a redpoll. Last time we saw it, it was called a common redpoll to differentiate it from a hoary redpoll, but they've been merged into the same species, the redpoll, earlier this year. So anyway, whatever its name, it's a pretty looking bird. Here you can hear some debate in the background about whether this would have been counted as a hoary redpoll.
Yeah. Just have a very light chest.
It has enough streaking that it's a common, I think.
It is common.
Yeah. No is the short answer. Momentary chaos broke out in the Welcome Center when there may have been a pine grosbeak appearance.
Where'd he go? Oh, stop.
Get together.
Oh my God, stay still.
Alas, though, it was the much smaller white-winged crossbill. It's a crossbill. This black-capped chickadee busied itself attacking this sunflower seed. Okay guys, quite a long time staked out at the visitor centre watching the feeders there, but no boreal chickadee or pine grosbeak in sight. Sarah, what's the plan for the rest of the afternoon?
Staking out more feeders, unfortunately. It's our best chance of seeing either a pine grosbeak or a boreal chickadee, so we're going to check out the Admiral Road feeders, and maybe Mary Lou's on the way out of the bog, but that's about it.
Sorry, a little bit of insider information. We've run into a lady called Denise a couple of times who actually helped point out the great grey to us yesterday. Sounds like boreal chickadee doesn't like hanging out with its cousin very much, the blackcap, so if we see blackcap chickadees around, probably won't see a boreal. But additional information, they like peanut butter, and we know that people are putting peanut butter on a particular series of branches near the Admiral feeders, so we're going to check that out and just hope and pray, basically. I drove us with a little bit of over-exuberance considering the temperature was now well into the -30s, along Owl Avenue. Well, slightly ridiculous and embarrassing circumstances mean that we won't be going to the Admiral feeders. Went straight through an intersection and into a ditch. Take a look. Unfortunately, the right front wheel was over the snowbank, seesawing the back wheels off the ground, and we couldn't free ourselves. With limited towing facilities, all we could do was wait as the last of the light slipped through our fingers. I can report that this was a slow speed incident, so we were unharmed, and thankfully we were rescued by a kind local after a couple of hours of waiting. But with the day at a close, our Sax-Zim adventure ends here. Remember guys, drive safely when you come here. Throughout this trip, as well as us, we saw at least 4 or 5 other people in similar situations, either snowed in, too close to snowbanks, or off the road entirely. Okay guys, I was planning to do an outro video and end things here, but we did have another sighting, so stay tuned and I'll show you that in a second. It was on our way out of Sax-Zim Bog. Main thing is, you'll be pleased to know that we're safe and we got towed out of the ditch and made our way back to the hotel. It's now the following morning. We didn't get all the birds we wanted to see, but we did get the great grey hiding in a tree. Our birding kind of ran out of luck, but thankfully a local pulled us out of the ditch with their truck. Ah, come on, you gotta like these rhymes. Thanks for watching this video guys, stay tuned to the channel because we're going to document our journey back to Toronto, and we'll be stopping off as usual trying to find more birds for the 300 bird challenge. But I do think, as I mentioned earlier, the challenge is kind of on life support at this stage, but we'll give it a shot and see how high we can get, how close to 300 we can get. There's still a little bit of low-hanging fruit that we can hopefully get. Okay, so hang on, what was that one more sighting I mentioned? Let's pick up from after we got pulled out of the ditch. Grouse. Oops, sorry for the slight chaos again. Ruffed grouse up in a tree in the remaining light. 4 of them in total. This bird has eluded us multiple times in northern Ontario, but we finally got it. New bird. Although we didn't do as well as we had hoped here at Sax-Zim Bog, at least we got to see the headline act, the Great Grey Owl. And, oh, hang on a minute, let's skip forward to the next morning. Guys, there's another Great Grey Owl. We were just leaving, Hibbing, and we're kind of more used to where they perch now, and Sarah sighted it on the side of the road. It's perched up, kind of watching over us. Beautiful bird. This owl reacts to just the slightest sound. Just heard a twig break and its head just immediately swivels. Okay, it's time for us to go for real this time. Please click the like button, and we really enjoy your kind comments. Please click the subscribe button and the bell icon to follow the channel along. Our return journey video will be out as soon as I can get it edited, but that might be into January. And then we'll have one more 300 bird challenge video for you after that. Happy birding, bye for now.